Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how you can post an ad on Craigslist to source for treasures throughout the year, including in the dead of winter time, so that you could find great items to resell in your business and make a nice profit. I'm going to show you an example of one of these ads. I'm going to also show you an example of some of the back and forth negotiation that took place over email on a deal that I made just 2 days before Christmas, when there's nothing else out there available to source. No garage sales, of course, going on then, no estate sales, anything like that. And I'm going to show you an example of how you could do some comps research to make sure you're protecting your investment and making a good deal for yourself so that it's profitable for your business. So let me take you through an example of one of these ads that you could see here. One of the things that you will notice right off the top, right, is that it is big and it is bold and it is colorful. And that is done on purpose, because one of the things you want to make sure you do with your ad is you want to attract attention. So when people are scrolling through Craigslist, either on their desktop or on their mobile phone, you want to make sure that it captures their attention so that they click on it and look at it. Now, another thing you'll notice is that it looks that it's very specific to just comic books, but then you will quickly see when you scan the title that there's a lot of other keywords that are mixed into here as well. And that's done on purpose, because for my business, while I specialize in comic books, I also look for other related items like you see here: toys, books, cards, antiques, and collectibles. There's a limit to what you could put in the title, but then make use of your description section, and you could see I have a lot of keywords in here. And I also have a lot of things broken down in bullet point format to make it more digestible and easier to find for the reader. So I won't go over and read the entire thing, but just very quickly as examples, you could see I have action figures, other toys and games, books, pop culture items, cards, Pokemon items, DVDs, gas, oil, petroleum memorabilia, tobacco memorabilia, signs, brewerania, video games, remote controls, DVD, VCR combos, sports memorabilia, vintage advertising, political memorabilia, clothes and clothing, Harley Davidson and motorcycle items. So that helps bring a lot of people to me when they're sending me responses to this. It helps me capture a lot of individuals. In fact, the irony of this is that even though my ad is primarily focused there on comic books by initial appearance, the majority of the responses that I get to it are actually not about comic books. They're about other things, like you'll see in this video in the example that I give you. Although I've also made many great comic book scores through this ad as well. So it does work for getting that specific niche item. And keep in mind, you can also make ads in addition to this one that you have for any type of other item you have. You could run multiple ads. So I have one, for example, that looks for Masters of the Universe figures. I have one that I've shown you in one of my other videos on this. I put it to the end of my my Facebook marketplace video that I did yesterday, in which I was talking about how to set up a Craigslist ad and to source for things during the winter time. I show that link at the end of that video, and I'll show it at the end of this one as well if you want more specifics on setting up these ads. But I have one within there on general estate sale contents that I look for as well. So there's lots of different specific types of ads. I have one up right now as well that looks specifically for Funko Pop collections. So you can make it for whatever it is you want and for whatever it is that you specialize in. And I'll put that link, by the way, that gets into more detail on setting up these type of ads at the end of this video if you're interested in looking at that. A couple other quick things to tell you about Craigslist before I get into the specifics of the deal that went down yesterday is that it's important to know that Craigslist is what I call letter specific or character specific. In other words, you see here it says comics. Well, if within my entire ad all I used was the word comics, then when someone typed in the word comic books, so comic singular, then my ad won't show up. So you want to make sure you have both in there. So it doesn't have to all be in the title, as long as it's somewhere within either the title or description. So you can see down here I highlighted that I have the word comic listed there and comics up top. So that's important. Keep that in mind if that's relevant for what you're selling and what you're looking for. Also keep in mind that it's important where you post it in terms of whether or not you're going to pay any kind of fee. So if you don't want to pay a fee, make sure that you put this under for sale, wanted by owner, as I highlighted it right there up top. That doesn't cost you anything to post that. If you post it under for sale, wanted by dealer, then they're going to charge you for it. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. So one other point, just keep in mind that yesterday I had done a video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, on how to source for treasures on Facebook Marketplace. A main difference between Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist is that on Facebook Marketplace, you're allowed to post things on there that you're looking to sell, but you're not supposed to post ads on there for things that you are looking to buy. You're not supposed to post wanted ads on Facebook Marketplace. Now, some people try to get around that by posting wanted ads within a sell ad, but those typically get taken down very fast. They get reported quickly. So that's really not the place to put that. But that is what Craigslist was actually designed for, is not only sell ads, but also wanted ads. So let me show you an example now of a response to this that came in a few days ago, and we just worked out a deal. So let me show you some of the examples of the messages that went back and forth. So this is the initial one. She says, I saw your ad on Craigslist and I have a few things you may be interested in. I have 4 brand new Lego sets. Now I'm going to break this down for you for how I'm thinking. I'm going to give you stream of consciousness for how I go through an ad like this and what goes through my head. Immediately, I see 4 brand new Lego sets and she has my attention. If you remember back to my live interview with Michael D. French from Retro Blasting, he's a well-known toy expert, one of the things he said is invest in Legos. Those are excellent items to get, especially brand new Lego sets in particular, because once those go off the shelves and they're not available anymore and there's more limited supply in the marketplace, Lego collectors pay up, and they will pay up big time for them depending on what the item is. So keep that in mind. Brand new Lego sets can be great investments, especially if you could source them for a relatively low price. Now, she mentioned she has 3 Coach bags. Well, that is something I'm really not that interested in, especially when I see that she says that they need a cleaning. It turns out, after seeing some of the pictures later, they needed more than just a little cleaning, which is what she told me later on. They were really pretty dirty. I ran them by Mrs. Primetime, my wife. She said there's no way you're going to be able to sell these things. So plus, there's a lot of counterfeits that go on with Coach bags, and I tend to be real cautious with that type of stuff, unless I could really have confidence that it's not only clean, new with tags, but that it's also genuine. So keep that in mind. A floor model popcorn maker made by Nostalgia Electronics. Now, what I'm thinking there, and it turns out when I later saw the picture of it, this is a really big item. It's one of those stand-up ones with a cart. That would be something I would have to flip on Facebook Marketplace if I purchased it. But turns out, this thing was really pretty dirty. And I do say in many videos, look past the dirt, look past the grime. But here we're talking about something that food goes into. There's a lot of oil and stuff caked into it. Plus, I have no way to know whether the thing really works. It's not like I'm going to take a bunch of popcorn kernels to the deal and plug it in somewhere and start popping popcorn. So I have to take the person's word for it. And if it's someone who I don't know, first initial time, then I'm going to be more cautious. So you got to have some caution that you exercise in these types of deals. Now, she says she has some new Funko Pops. Now, for me, I'm interested in that. A lot of people are going to hear that and say, I'm not really into Funko Pops, or they're not worth anything. And there are a lot of Funko Pops that are overproduced that aren't worth much. But I have made a lot of money. I've shown a lot of examples of this through my What's Sold videos on Funko Pops that I've sold for really high dollar values. So it depends on what types of Funkos you get. So typically, although this is a rule of thumb, it's not always true, but typically the ones that are more valuable are the ones that are limited edition, the exclusive ones that are only made in certain amounts, like only 50, 100 or something like that, or 5,000 or 3,000. So there's limited numbers out there. There's also ones that are only produced at certain conventions. So one, for example, might only have been made at the San Diego Comic-Con. So we'll say SDCC on a sticker on the front. So look for stickers on the front. There's also store exclusives that can be worth money. There's Target exclusives. There's Toys R Us exclusives, which are worth more since Toys R Us went out of business. There's GameStop exclusives. There's Walmart exclusives. There's all sorts of exclusive ones to look for. So and again, there's little stickers on the front that tend to will be a clue as to whether or not that's the case. Also, there's some popular series out there to look for. For example, Game of Thrones. I've done very well with Game of Thrones Funkos in the past, and so I look for those as well. I've even sold, for example, a damaged, crushed up box with a Funko Pop in it for like $80 to $90 once, to give you an example of what you could do with certain types of Funkos. 4 Pixel Pals, which are, if you haven't seen those before, I'll show you them a little bit later. They're like, they're basically like pixelated figures that are within a box that resembles a Funko. She has a Friedel rhythm clock. That's a clock that you plug in some C batteries and it plays different types of songs. So the values on those are all over the board. Basically, right now you can find one for like $40 online. Some of them are sold for higher than that. It depends on whether it's in the box or not. This one is not in the box. It's big and bulky. So with the $40 price range for something big and bulky, that would usually be something I tend to stay away from. $30 of Nintendo eShop gift cards. Tend to be real careful with gift cards. There's lots of scams involving gift cards, even if they look like they haven't been scratched off. Sometimes people have wiped them clean and then they sell you gift cards that have nothing in them. And you don't want to sell someone gift cards on eBay that don't have anything on there, because you're going to have a pretty upset customer on your hands. So unless you have a way to check that there really is something on the gift card, then I stay away from those. So she says she's located in such and such, but can meet you if you're interested. I also have pictures of everything, and that's important. I say in my ad that I want to see pictures, because that gives me at least some type of verification that the person has what they're claiming. It's obviously, you're gonna have more confidence if they send you a picture of them holding it, or if it's in their house, rather than them sending you stock photos. Another thing that's nice about the ad that I see is the person is polite. Of course, someone could be polite and be deceptive, but it's at least a nice initial sign compared to some responses you're going to get which say, hey, I have some stuff you may be interested in, call me, and then they leave their number. So I don't do that. I don't respond to that type of stuff. At least I don't respond by making a call. I'll tell the person, sorry, I don't work that way. You're going to have to send me pictures and send me some more details, and I may hear back. I may not. But you have to be safe. Almost every week I'm posting some type of news story in my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, on some type of deal that went wrong through one of these local marketplace deal situations. Someone winds up getting robbed, held up. It's typically over things like electronics, phones, and that type of stuff, but it can happen with any situation. So you have to be safe. I have a video. It has kind of a quote-unquote funny title, which is how not to get yourself killed on Craigslist. So go through, watch that for safety tips beyond what I could go to in this video. So the things that I'm initially interested in here would be the Lego sets, obviously, and as you can see here, the Funkos. So I want to see pictures of those two things, at least to start off, and then later on, after I saw the pictures, which I'll show you in a moment, I also then requested to see pictures of the Pixel Pals. So I figured maybe we could throw those in and do a deal. Just like Funko Pops, Pixel Pals, the price ranges on those really vary depending on which specific ones you have. But as you can see here, we have a DC Comics Superheroes Lego set, which is great. Anything comic related combined with Legos tends to be something that kids really like and parents want to pick up for their kids. So we've got the Heroes of Justice Sky High Battle. We've got a Star Wars one with Darth Vader, which is great. That's even an extra bonus because Darth Vader, of course, being like, the most popular character along with Boba Fett. So we've got Darth Vader Transformation, which is really cool. That's the transformation chamber there. That's really, really neat. You know, it's got Anakin in there and everything. So I love that one. Then another great one here is the Advent calendar one. Now, if you're not familiar with the Advent calendar toy items, like Lego here, what they are is that, you see it says 24 here. What happens is you would want to buy this before Christmas. So right now it'll be too late to get it to someone, but that's why I say these things could be good investments for later on. There's basically 24 days and 24 toys in here that you would just open one up each day, 24 days before Christmas, and the kid would get a toy, or a little item in there, a little minifigure or something like that, or some little thing to assemble, like a little ship on this one, for 24 days before Christmas. So that's really cool. You could decide what you want to do with things like Lego sets. You could hold on to them as investments and other items as well, because these will appreciate in value. Or if you get them low enough, you could try to flip them right now. Of all the items that I wound up picking up from this deal, this would be the one I would really want to hold on to and wait till next year. And Don the Auction Professor talks about this as well. Make sure you go check out Don's channel if you haven't done that. But holding on to things for a year is no big deal. If you have a lot of inventory, you have other stuff to get to and process, then just hold on to this. The time goes by pretty fast, and this would be something you want to list around like October, November-ish, that type of thing. So what else do we have here? We have a getaway truck. So we got that. And then we've got the Funkos. Now, thing to point out here is that there's a bunch of Funkos listed and or shown, and there is one that has this sticker on it. This is the type of sticker I was referring to. You can see it says 2017 Summer Convention Exclusive. Usually that's a really good sign. The problem is for this one, the Combat Assault Tank Trooper, they made a ton of these. So there's a lot of them on the market right now. For most of the Funkos I'm going to show you here, their value on eBay, and this includes with shipping, is right around $10. And shipping one of these really costs somewhere right now with first class mail. You could usually almost always get them under in a box and about 16 ounces or less is going to be right around $4 to $5. So with fees and everything, you're really not making a ton off of them if you're trying to sell them individually. So my initial instinct on these is to stay away from them. However, in the next one, I do see one that's better than the others, one that's worth more. I'll show you the value a little later. But this one is Battle of the Bastards through Game of Thrones. And I mentioned earlier that Game of Thrones Funkos do have a good value associated with them. So if I could pick them up, and the 2-packs have more value sometimes than the single packs, depends on what they are. So that was nice to see. There's all different types of Funkos. There's oversized ones, there's regular size ones, there's all sorts of things to learn about it. And I do, by the way, have a playlist on Funko Pops. I talk about how to ship them. I show you some great hauls that I've done with them before. So go check that video out. I'll show you how to ship them singly, how to ship them if you have multiples, all that type of thing. You'll see I have other ones here. There's multiple Star Wars ones. We have some DC characters like Batman and Aquaman. And you can see this is an example of the store exclusive I was talking to you about earlier. There's a Walmart sticker right there. Here's another summer convention exclusive. But again, none of these are really worth a ton of money. Okay, so again, my instinct is to initially to skip these, but I'm going to show you later how I wound up working these in a way that made sense for me and why I did it. Here, these are the Pixel Pals. There's some examples of what they look like. You can see they're pixelated figures in boxes that kind of look like Funkos. She also had 2 other ones, a Super Mario one and a Luigi one that I wound up getting as well. That is not pictured here because she couldn't get to them at the time when she was sending me the pictures. There's a little sticker here. I'm not worried about stickers. I could easily get these things off, and that's not a problem. So then she wound up sending me one other item. She said, hey, by the way, I also have this box of Cuphead cereal. Now, Cuphead is a video game real popular with kids, and Funko has made Cuphead figures. I showed one earlier right above the Game of Thrones figure, and they've also made these, if you don't know, Funko makes these limited edition cereals, and those tend to go up in value. The longer you hold on to these, the more they're going to go up in value. This one here, you can see it's priced at $25.99 plus $9.95 shipping. She's showing me an example of a listing for one of them on eBay. That doesn't mean, of course, that's exactly what it's going to sell for. There have been some that have sold in the mid 20 range, but they could go for low as around like $19 or so. But so it's something I would want to throw in because it's light and it's not heavy to ship. So at that point, I'm interested in those specific items, and I say, how much would you want for the 4 Lego sets? Now note the next part, I say the Game of Thrones Funko. I'm only interested in that one initially, and the Cuphead cereal box. So there's 6 things that I am interested in right there. Now, when I was figuring out the price of what I wanted to, offer her if she threw out, hey, make an offer, that type of thing, I'm already running through this in my head in terms of prices. So let me show you how you would figure this out. I'll show you that that display that I just brought up in just a second. But let me show you something first before I show you what that all pertains to. What you want to do is you want to do some basic comps research. So what you're going to do is you're going to search, like I said yesterday in the Facebook video, you're going to want to do a search for completed and sold items. They all come together. So it'll show you if the item sold, which here on desktop shows up in green, and if it didn't sell, it's going to show up in either black or red, depending on if you're searching on your desktop or if you're searching on your phone. So right there, you could see there it says that this is that initial one I showed you, that first DC one. Let me just bring it up just to make it clear which one I'm referring to here, because I already have it as a nice big picture. This one right here. So this DC comic one right there, you could see here, this one has sold recently for $53. Then it sold here for $53 best offer. Then it sold here for $29.99 plus $22.05 shipping. Then $29.99 best offer with $20.05 shipping. Then here it sold for $50. And so that's telling me this has a good sell-through rate, and that there's nothing in between there that's showing it's not selling. That doesn't mean that there's not some as you keep scrolling down. Occasionally that can happen. But my point is that's a very good sign that tells you that you have a good item right there. But that's not enough, because when you're negotiating with someone, what is the seller going to try to do sometimes? They're going to point to this number right here to if they actually know to search for sold. Sometimes they'll just show you some high crazy number that someone is asking for something. So they might say, hey, these go for $80 just because someone has it posted for $80. No, you got to make sure you at least go to this and show the person what they're actually selling for. That's the only true way to know a comp. But that's not good enough for you when you're trying to figure out what to offer. You've got to prepare yourself for worst case scenario. I always say this, worst case situation. And worst case situation is that you're going to have to sell this one for a little bit less than $39. Because if you're competing on price, and not just price, but price versus a seller with a similar reputation as you. So let's say you have 100% positive feedback. You're going to want to compare yourself to someone like that. Well, this person's selling it for $39, has 100% positive feedback, and it is new in the box. So, okay, if you want to beat that person, right, you're going to have to sell it for $38, so $37.99. That's the price you want to go with. You don't want to go with the $53. You want to go with the $37.99 worst case scenario situation at present. So when you do that, you're going to want to jot this stuff down. So you'll see over here, and I'll make this bigger, and we'll go through it one by one. DC Superheroes Lego set, worst case scenario is $37.99. Now, I already ran through all of these, so I'm not going to show you each one on eBay. You could check it out yourself if you'd like. It's going to differ depending on when you do this search. But this is how it is as of Christmas Eve 2019. The Vader set, Darth Vader one, Darth Vader Legos, $19.99. All these prices I'm going to show you is where I would have to list it if I'm competing on price, plus factoring in that there's free shipping. Santa Claus one, the Advent Lego set, that would be $37.50. The Technic one, that's the truck, that's the Lego truck, that would be $27, so $26.99. The Game of Thrones pop, that would be $27. Again, this is all worst case scenario. Cuphead cereal would be $19. Again, all worst case scenarios. You may wind up selling it for more than that, but this is what you want to use as the base for your negotiations. Now, does that mean you're going to, of course, offer this amount of money? No, it doesn't make sense. So what are most people going to say to do? Well, a lot of people, especially if they're new, are going to say, well, I want to double my money, right? So you'll add that together and you're going to get to a total of $168.45. But you don't want to just divide by 2 and make that your offer, because you have to factor in that there's going to be final value fees. You have to factor in there's going to be PayPal fees. You also have to factor in shipping in some way. And another thing you're going to have to factor in is that there's likely some damage to some of the items that you're not seeing in the pictures. So all of these things need to be worked in somehow. So at the most basic level, what you have to do is you're going to take that number and you're going to divide it by 3, which would give you $56.15. But we want to subtract shipping, especially if you're offering free shipping. Now, if you're charging calculated shipping, that's a different thing. But if you have a free shipping model, and many of you watching this do, then you got to figure, okay, well, it's going to cost me, about, let's say $8 to ship 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these items. And then, maybe I could get away with, shipping one of these for around $5, like maybe the Bastards Pop, although that might go a little bit over, but $45 we could say for shipping, just as an average. Well, that's going to bring you down to $123.45 divided by 3, which would be $41.15. So that tells you that you can make an offer for about $40 on those 5 items, and that would be a safe investment for you to make a decent profit on it. But we're not going to stop there, because often what you could do in these situations is that you can also find ways to sweeten the pot, and many times the pot will often be sweetened for you. So one of the things a person mentioned to me is, hey, by the way, I have these Mega Man toy available for you as well if you're interested in. And turns out that's a good one. That one goes for around $29. That's both in terms of a top price that you see it selling for on eBay right there, but also if you look for what your cheapest price is for it, it's right around the mid to upper 20 range. So that's where you'd be competing. And she also mentioned that she had one of these Nintendo Super Mario gift set Pez dispensers, which basically the market rate on that is around $15. So I'll just bring that up to make it a little bigger as well. Now, these are things that she mentioned a little bit later on to sweeten the pot, but at the point of the negotiation that I'm going to show you at right now, those 2 items were not mentioned yet. So when I asked her what she wanted for the items, some key things to point out here psychologically. Response is, honestly, I don't know. LOL. How about $60 for it, or even a better deal of $100 for everything, even the stuff you don't want, including the clock, the Coach bags, and the popcorn maker, and the Pixel Pals. I could toss in a Cuphead t-shirt new in the box. So psychologically, the thing to keep in mind here is what becomes very evident is, one, the person's not really firmly committed onto a price when they say, I don't know. That tells you you have room and flexibility for negotiation. The other thing that it tells you is that this is really a person who is trying to get rid of stuff. They're trying to either make space, or they're just trying to clear things to maybe make up some kind of purchase. And it turns out that what actually was going on here is that the person was trying to clear out a bunch of toys of one of their kids to purchase a remote control vehicle for the kid. So that's what this was all about. And that's what a lot of people will do. They'll have their eyes set on a certain type of item they want. They want to clear out all of their other items to get some cash to spend it for that type of item. So this tells me here there's room for negotiation. And what I figure in my head, if you remember going back here, I was saying $40 for those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. Okay. That doesn't include the Pixel Pals, and it doesn't include those Funkos. But what I know about those Funko Pops is that while I really don't want to take the time to sell those individually, what I do know is if I could get a really good deal on them, okay, I could, for example, put Batman and Aquaman together and make a nice little DC lot. I could take 2 Star Wars items and put them together, or 3 Star Wars items and put them together. And then I could really maximize value that way. But the way to do that is you've got to be able to source them low. So $2 a piece or less than that. And so what I wound up doing, as you'll see in this response to her, I'll make this bigger. Said, thanks, I gave it some thought, but I'm going to have to stick with what I specialize in, which is toys. And now here, you could see me working in. You never know. The person might have a comic collection. Turns out she doesn't. But I also specialize in comics, so if you had any of those, I'd definitely be interested in. I can at least take the Legos off your hands and the Game of Thrones Funko for $40. The other Funkos and Pixel Pals are so mass-produced that they have very little value when factoring in shipping and supplies. I again mentioned that I'd be purchasing them for a business. Be upfront, be honest. However, if you just want to get rid of the Funkos and Pixel Pals, I can do $50 cash for those included. I live in Beeville, which would make for a relatively easy meetup. Coming from where she's coming from, just let me know, thanks. So a bunch of different things I'm working in there, right? I'm emphasizing her. I could give her cash. You know, people want that quick cash. I could do it, really easily because we don't live too far from one another. And I emphasize here that I'm picking up on the fact that she just wants to get rid of this stuff. I'm also letting her know that these Funkos really don't have a lot of value, so she's not getting, scammed or anything like that by just selling them off, and makes her more comfortable being willing to make a bulk deal. Also, don't be shy in letting people know what your costs are. A lot of times people who are selling to you don't realize that you have cost into supplies. They don't necessarily know that you're, working in like a free shipping model and that type of stuff. They don't know those things. So you have to make sure you're mentioning that stuff as part of your offer. And so turns out, she says, I would be happy to do the Legos, Pixel Pals, and all the Pops. When are you available? I completely understand. Here you go. I was hoping I could clear some space in my house. And sure enough, we did the meetup, and there you go. There is me. End result. All the Funko Pops. There's the Cuphead cereal. All the Lego sets. The Mega Man toy, which you could see right here. And the Pez. And what I wound up doing is when I got there, of course, there was a few of the Funko Pops had like a few creases on them and stuff like that. And if you figure in your head the rule of the thirds, well, the Mega Man, you'd offer like $10 on that, right? Because that one you could sell for around 30, somewhere like that. The Pez is like a $15 item, so that would be add $15 to it, right? So that would be $65. But what I wound up doing is saying, well, you know what? I could do 55 because there's a little bit of damage on the Funkos and on some of them. And so I'll give you $55 for everything. And she said, fine. So I wound up getting everything there for 55. So I even wound up getting a better deal for the situation. And what's even funnier about this is that I went on to Craigslist the night before and I saw that this person had posted the 4 Star Wars I say Star Wars because I see a Star Wars Lego sets, but she had posted a listing for these 4 Lego sets before we started working together and negotiating. A day prior to that, she had posted those 4 for $75. That's what she initially wanted just for the Lego sets. So again, I wound up getting everything there. The 4 Lego sets, all the Funkos, the Pixel Pals, Cuphead cereal, Super Mario box, the Mega Man toy, everything for $55. So I'll make my money back after selling off probably 2 of the items in there, and then everything from there will be profit. So that's the long story of how you make these situations work for yourself. I hope it was helpful going into some of the detail and showing you basically the anatomy of a deal. There were more messages that went back and forth regarding some of those other items like the Coach bags and the popcorn maker and the clock and that type of stuff. But just to make the video a little shorter, I cut some of that stuff out, especially since it wasn't anything that I wound up getting. But I hope this video is helpful in terms of showing you how to set up the ad. to show you some of the things that you could look for in the responses for the negotiations. Keep in mind, if somebody is not going to tell you, what they're going to take for it, which this person might not have, that's why it's very helpful to have some rough idea in your mind of what you would want to offer. And this is just, again, a general rule of thumb for this type of situation. In other types of situations, you're going to use different formulas. Like for comic books, I told you want to average about 10 to 20 cents, usually about 15 cents per issue. So it depends on what it is that you're sourcing in terms of how you're going to figure out the formula for what to get. But for items like this is how you do that comps research, figure things out, and make a conservative investment for your business, so that you still, even if a lot of things go wrong, you still should be able to easily get your investment back and at minimum break even. But really, the way I've set it up, there really should be no way you shouldn't be able to double your money on your investment when you set it up like this. So especially if you're new, I hope all these tips were helpful and that you use them going out there to make all sorts of great deals for yourself. Remember, there's deals out there to be had even right before Christmas. With that, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I'll do some more videos before the New Year, so I'll hold off the New Year's celebration till later on. But everyone, have a Merry Christmas, great holiday, and I will definitely see you back at the new video, at the next video. Reminder, come by and make sure you subscribe to this channel. That's important. Also hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Come over to the Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, and my Instagram channel. That's at @prime_time_treasure. I'll see you back at the next video, everyone. Take care.